The date was February 9th, 1968. The place, 20 miles southwest of Da Nang, South Vietnam. D Company of the 3rd Brigade, 4th Infantry, was helicoptered in to relieve A Company at Firebase Bedrock. D Company was to hold a hill for a search and destroy mission conducted by several other companies in this area in which only a few Viet Cong units were located, supposedly. Now, holding a firebase appeared a reprieve to Company D, which had been engaged in heavy jungle combat search and destroy missions since the Lancaster kid had been assigned to it in November of 1967. Casualties in D Company were heavy. The 1st platoon, of which the Lancaster kid was part of, with less than 30 soldiers, had incurred 25 casualties since November. One of the squads was completely destroyed, restocked with replacements, and destroyed again. 100% casualties each time. 2 of the Lancaster kids' good friends, Donald Glover and Robert Seaton, had died some days ago from enemy-planted explosive devices. But on this February 9th, intelligence assured them only a few Viet Cong units operated this area, so this search and destroy mission was supposed to be a piece of cake. The Lancaster kid was in the 1st squad, had just reached Company A to relieve them when Company B, some few hundred yards away in the jungle, came under a large attack by an enemy force. The kids' unit was ordered to aid B Company, reinforce it, and just kick the Viet Cong around a little bit. While fighting their way into the sight of B Company, suddenly D Company was ordered to withdraw and build a separate perimeter to ward off additional enemy attacks. By now, it was clear intelligence was completely wrong again, and instead of a few Viet Cong units, the companies were facing a large deployment of North Vietnamese regulars with heavy mortars, machine guns, even anti-aircraft guns. This was the start of what was called the Tet Offensive. The perimeter deployment left the 1st squad on the very forward position and dug in, but completely exposed to enemy fire. The 1st squad, of which the Lancaster kid was a part, had 2 M60 machine guns, together with the M16s which each soldier carried. So they were ordered to dig in an open forward area in front of everybody so they could lay down a fire on the attacking enemy. The kid and his best friend, Greg, dug in with 1 M60 in one foxhole, and a few yards away, the rest of the squad, members Miller and Kissinger, dug in a few yards away. And the rest of the company took positions further back under the cover of the jungle. Then heavy fire started coming in. Mortars started raining down around the squad's position. When one round exploded, but right between the 2 foxholes, shrapnel just spread out, and all 4 soldiers there were wounded. Wounded and bleeding, the call went out for a medic to bind up the bleeding, treat the injuries, and so forth. As Doc, and Doc was the only name they knew him by, although he was a very close friend, he just called him Doc. He was the medic. He rushed up to that forward position to administer aid, to bandage people up, and so forth. And as he did so, and he got there, started doing his work, the enemy mortars unleashed another devastating barrage on the first squad's position. The exploding shells killed Doc instantly. And the Lancaster kid could see that Miller and Kissinger were also dead in the next foxhole. The kid himself was covered with blood and torn flesh from his best friend Greg, who was also dead beside him in the same foxhole. Of course, then friendly artillery comes screaming in overhead to attempt to shut down the enemy mortars and drive the Vietnamese under cover. After the mortar barrage had passed, another medic appeared to see if anyone was still alive at that position. He found all of them dead except the Lancaster kid, who sustained a large number of shrapnel wounds, shrapnel all over his body, large sections of flesh hanging from his left useless arm, his left leg broken, bleeding. So the medic called for an immediate medevac. He's going to try to save this guy. The helicopter, with the large red cross painted on it, came in fast, trying to avoid the enemy fire, which was quite heavy. And the kid could see it, helicopter coming through what seemed like a curtain of machine gun tracers. It did not make it. It went down crashing into the jungle. The next day they counted 780 bullet holes in that helicopter. It was late in the day and no other helicopter would brave the enemy fire. Got late into the evening at the 9th, and the medic had patched up the Lancaster kid with bandages, splints, give him a couple shots, and try to keep him alive. But D Company was under extreme enemy pressure, fighting going on all over, and there was no one available to reinforce that forward position, which was a must. The kid couldn't move his left arm. He couldn't move hardly at all. He couldn't even reload the weapons. So he had the medic help him set up the M60 machine gun. And the medic gathered up the 4 other M16s from his dead friends so he could shoot with his right hand, because he could move his left hand and move around. He wouldn't have to reload. It had 4 of them. Then the medic left the kid alone for the night, sitting there with his dead friends, sitting in a foxhole in the most forward position of the perimeter of his company. With only his dead friends with him, you can imagine it was a very, very long night. But he held that position. The next morning, February 10th, reinforcements finally came. Another medevac helicopter was called in, and this time he landed successfully and hauled the kid out from the battlefield. He spent 13 months in the hospital. Donald Glover, Robert Seaton died a few days earlier. Greg Iding, Norman Kissinger, James Miller, and Doc died. February 9th, 1968. And they were all the close friends of Rodger Irish. Sergeant Dressler, honors please.
Firing squad, prepare to fire. Ready, aim, fire, aim, fire, aim, fire. Reset, arm.
Now we'll have the benediction by Lieutenant Commander, Pastor Mark Dieter.
We have heard the stories that inspire us, Rodger, an incredibly inspiring story, and thank you for serving our community so well. Ivers, thank you for writing that. Fabulous. The stories that remind us of heroes, often unsung, not asking for any credit or glory, but just doing their job, that allow you and I to be here today in freedom, and to go and have our barbecue, and enjoy time with family and friends. As we have our closing prayer today, I would like to leave you with an image for your prayer time.